Well, hello, welcome to the Preferred Contractors podcast, where we give you actionable steps to grow your contracting business. I'm your host, Jordan Harrison. We're excited to kick off our podcast today with CEO and visionary behind the Preferred Contractors podcast and the community group on Facebook, which you haven't joined. It's preferred.contractors. Search it out, hop in. We have Jay Miller, CEO of Kyber Digital. Super excited to have you on here, man.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to do this as episode 1. So this is really cool. I'm really glad that we're finally doing a podcast, and I'm really hoping that this is just something that gives back to these blue collar guys that they can listen to in their trucks and learn a little bit about how to market themselves and give back to our communities that we've been so humbly gracious to be a part of. So yeah, I'm really excited to be here.
All right, so let's start with the first question here. So what is the biggest marketing mistake contractors make when they're getting their business off the ground?
Honestly, most of the time it has nothing to do with marketing. Most of the time it has to do with not having the right systems in place on the back end. When these guys when you have a guy that's like in a truck, or they're just getting their service techs hired, they're like one, maybe 3 people deep, maybe they have 2 trucks on the road. What ends up happening is they don't have their back end systems merged in with their invoicing and their estimates. So, for example, if you're like an HVAC guy or a roofer, you're using something like JobNimbus or HouseCall Pro, you're at the very least like using a CRM that keeps track of everything. It's not just keeping track of your invoices and your estimates, it's keeping track of your customers. And that's a major difference, is the fact that when you have a customer tracking system, now not only can you manage everything inside of there, but you can also see your your lead flow. And when you then automate those processes on the back end, like say every time someone gets an invoice, you're sending reminders. Every time someone comes into the funnel, or they submit a lead form, or they book an appointment to get an estimate, now they're getting nurture sequences, or now these follow-up sequences are in place to make sure that they're being nurtured to come to the so when you get to the home, they actually are ready to talk to you. They're now almost like trained on what you're going to do when you get there, because the nurture sequence isn't just, hey, we're showing up. It's, hey, just so you know, this is what to expect when we come to your home. So a lot of the times it's just not having the right systems in place. And that's just one example, is the CRM stuff. Another example could be they don't have their scheduling kind of completely figured out. They have one guy over here, one guy over here. They're not really coordinated. And the problem is, when you don't have a system like that's repeatable, that's trainable, you can't really scale. And no matter how many leads you throw at these contractors, they'll never be able to handle all of them, because they don't have the systems in place to be able to take on 1 to 2 calls a day. So when you have a guy that's just starting out and he's like, yeah, I got 2 techs. It's like, okay, great. But are you able to handle 2 or 3 calls a day? And it's not about having multiple techs to handle the calls. You need to have the right systems in place in order to handle those calls. You can't scale a company if you don't have systems. So I would say that the marketing question actually comes down to systems first, systems and automation. So, which is a part of marketing. But I think that's the biggest thing that thwarts people from growing. Like we had some guys that they keep track of their customers on their iPhone notes, like literally on their phones. Like this is what they do. They have all their invoices on like the notes app on their iPhone. Like, how are you running a business? This is crazy. So it's just kind of like pushing them into the 21st century with modern tech and giving customers the experience that your competitors are going to give them if you don't. So I think that's the biggest thing that thwarts growth, is systems and operations, in order to provide a scalable system. For sure.
Well, yeah. And I always say it's the non-sexy stuff. That's the stuff that helps your business grow. The non-sexy stuff is what makes your business sexy. And that's what they're missing out on, man.
Yeah.
Well, good. Cool. So what are contractors doing now that really keeps them from standing out from their competitors?
So actually, Jordan, you were on a call last night where we were going through what we call an offer build. An offer build's not like a discount, or it's not an offer where you're doing pricing so much as it is the way you position yourself and differentiate yourself in the market. So even for contractors who believe that they are in commoditized industries, because everybody does it. So let's just say we can give the example we were working on last night. Actually, this guy's a land clearer. he clears land, he mulches stuff. And we were trying to pull out of him on that call last night. Hey, like, what do you do that's different that your competitors don't do? And he goes, well, there's really nothing. I'm like, well, run us through your entire system, run us through your entire step customer journey. Like, what happens when you get to the home versus when you leave? Give me every little detail. And he started to go through, well, we clear for debris, we survey the land, we're double checking that we have the right things in place, all things that most contractors would do. But then he did one thing different. He said, well, first of all, we have a more advanced machine, not that no one else can get it, but we have this more advanced machine. And then what we do with that machine is we run it through what's called a back drag. And we do like 2 or 3 times, which is a little bit excessive, but we do it in this specific way, in this specific order, so that by the time the land is cleared and mulched, it's actually easier for the soil to be digested back into the earth. It's more eco-friendly. It looks nicer. It's finer. It's easier for wildlife to come back in. And right away, we were like, all right, that's it. That's the thing. Because now you have something that's differentiating yourself. And even if it's something that a couple other people do, it's the combination of that machine in this order, with this particular way that he's doing the back drag, with this particular way that he was coming in to assess and clear debris. The order of operations was unique to him for his company. So all we did was put a name for it. And we're able to now differentiate him from some of his competitors, not because he's doing everything completely unique and different, but the actual order of operations of what he's doing is unique. And then you have to express that to your customers, like, hey, there's a lot of roofers that'll come and do an estimate, and then they come and they bring like the equipter, and they bring all their sheets to make sure that debris doesn't get on the ground. But we also take these extra 4 steps that not a lot of other people do, and that's what makes them different. And you can't just say, oh, I have really great customer service. Everybody says that. Oh, we're the fastest. Everybody says that. How are you different? So you really got to like dig deep into your process to find out what you guys do that truly separates you from the competition, even if it's just pulling together 1 or 2 minuscule things that are available to everybody else, but you're putting them together in your recipe to make your recipe different. And we gave the analogy to that contractor last night. It's like everybody can make a chocolate chip cookie, but they're never going to taste the same. You know, everybody uses different amounts of flour or sugar. They bake them at different temperatures for different times. At the end of the day, it's still chocolate chip cookie, but your recipe is different. And so it's basically, what is your recipe that makes your process unique? That's what you need to highlight on. And that's what you need to then convey to your customers so that you stand out and so that you have something that differentiates you from being a commodity.
Well, and like you said last night, we were referring to the Mad Men TV show. You know, that's your big time marketing show back in the days, like the cigarette company. Like we now have sun dried tobacco cigarettes, whereas no, it is a mechanism everybody's doing, but nobody's talking about. So highlighting that one thing that nobody's talking about in their business that may be the same, and then doing it. Well, the other example was it the beer company, right? Was it Sam Adams?
Yeah, they do like double distilled bottles. And the guy that was doing the marketing campaign was walking through the facility. He's like, what's happening over there? He goes, oh, we're just distilling the bottles. He goes, why does it go through twice? He goes, well, everybody puts it through twice. He goes, but nobody really talks about that. And he goes, no. And he's like, okay, well, we're going to say our bottles are double distilled, you know? And it's kind of like the same thing that happened with Mad Men on the Lucky Strikes example, where they said, well, everybody sun dries their tobacco. He goes, but nobody's talking about it. So now we're Lucky Strikes sun dried tobacco, because now it just seems like you're doing something different. Even if you're not, you're separating yourself because of the copy, because of the messaging. And that particular way of doing it is called the unspoken mechanism. That's something that everybody does, but no one talks about, that customers are not as familiar with. And when you highlight it, they think that you're doing something different, even though you're not. It's not like you're being unethical or lying. You're just highlighting a part of your process that no one else talks about. So if you're the first to the market to do that, congratulations. You've now exceeded in marketing.
Well, see, this is where I need to be like Brad Lee. I need a bomb dropped, but I need to come up with something different instead.
Yeah.
We'll have it soon. We'll figure out what it is, man. Well, look, let's go back to the answer to the first question here. Let's talk about system and processes for a moment. So what is the one thing that contractors are doing wrong that's really costing them clients because of their system and processes? Like, what's one thing they could fix in their system and processes?
Follow up and nurture, which we were kind of talking about in that first question, but let's just put it 2 examples on the table. You have one contractor that they get a call to the office and they go, okay, I'm going to put you into the appointment. And we're going to come to your home. We're going to do an estimate. We'll be there tomorrow at 10 o'clock. They show up the next day at 10 o'clock. Sometimes that homeowner forgets. Sometimes that homeowner is not even there. Sometimes that homeowner really was not qualified to be there in the first place. Now let's give you a second example. Now you have a homeowner that calls the office and they go, hey, we're going to be there tomorrow at 10 o'clock. They go, great. So now they schedule an appointment. Now they get an email to their email. It says, hey, you're scheduled. They get a text that says, hey, you're scheduled. And then the next day before that event, 2 hours before, they're getting an email saying, hey, like, we're coming to your home in 2 hours. They get a text that says, hey, John Doe from our company with a picture of his face on the SMS, he's coming to your house. This is what he looks like. He'll be there at 10:18 roughly, right? And in addition to that, you can even have an appointment setter that calls the homeowner. Hey, just want to double confirm that you're ready for us to come to your home today. Just reconfirming that no one's wasting time. Now, those are just 2 quick examples of customer experiences, but which one do you think delivers a better customer experience? And 3/4 of that can be done with automation. You don't have to hire another person. You can, yes, absolutely have your front of house or front desk person reconfirm an appointment, but just having the automations in place that aren't, like I said, it's not just reminders. Something HouseCall Pro that does that I like a lot is what I just mentioned, is that they will message that when the tech says I'm on my way to the job, they sign in, they tap it, they say I'm on my way in the truck. The text message goes to the customer and says, hey, John Doe is coming to your home. This is what he looks like. This is where he's coming from. He'll be out in, probably 20 minutes, and having that information delivers an amazing customer experience. You look so much more professional before you even get to the home. So it's just a matter of having the right automations and systems in place that make the customer feel like they're getting taken care of.
It's funny you say with the picture. I've heard people that have gone a step further and they have a short bio video of that person coming out. So they send that text, John Doe is coming out. There's a link to a quick video to John Doe. You pull it up and go, hey, John Doe introducing himself, like explaining what's going to happen when he gets there, or just saying something about him. And just like, so when they open the door, guess what? You're like, oh, hey, John, how you doing? Like, you feel like you know that person.
You feel like they become 5 Mile famous. And then on top of that, it expresses an amazing company culture. It expresses that your company really cares about its employees and your brand as a company. And you're going to stand out doing that from the other guy who is just 1 or 2 dudes that show up in an unmarked truck who have some messy tools, and like they come into the home and they give you an estimate. Like, which one would you feel more comfortable doing business with? Clearly the one that looks more professional, who expresses more professionalism in every part of that buyer journey. So the easiest way they start doing that is with automation sequences.
Oh, I agree. And that's that differentiating factor, man. Like, that's just in the customer experience. I think we were talking about that too. How do you could do a killer job, but how did you make the customer feel from the time you got there, while you're working on it, when they left? Did they feel good about the whole time, or are they ready to get your ass out of there?
Yeah, exactly. We've all been there.
Oh yeah. I could tell you stories. So let's go offline for just a second. So, we're talking about online stuff and automations and softwares. So let's dive in just very quickly. What are some unconventional ways contractors can market their business that maybe their competitors aren't doing?
I love this question because when I was in college, I did a lot of lifestyle marketing for a music label, and everything was unconventional. It was sidewalk art with chalk. It was getting posters inside of record stores. It was if it was like a band that was eco-friendly, it was going to farmers markets and putting the not just flyers, but actually highlighting the artist inside of some of the products. There's a lot of things you can do. So let's specifically talk about contractors. You got to think, where do my customers go, right? Where do all my customers go? And there's always the local pub. There's always the local liquor store. Are you present in those places at a house? I don't know if people know this, but like advertising inside of Planet Fitness or Retro Fitness or Lifetime Fitness on those TVs, it's actually pretty affordable for the entire year. You can do it for the whole year for like $12,000, it's like about $1,200 a month if you sign up for like a bunch of short impressions. So that's something you can do right away, is out of house marketing. We've seen people do like roofers on the beach in Cape May. We've seen them like do the planes that fly over top of the beach, like get a free roof estimate. But one that I really like a lot. Now this is really funny, and you can't spam it. You can't do it. You can't ruin it by overdoing it. But one that I like a lot is every time the texts go anywhere, Home Depot, Dunkin' Donuts, the local Mexican food place, anytime they go anywhere, they take a picture of the front of the building on Google with the wrapped truck in the image, and they leave a review. So that way, when customers are vetting that restaurant or that Dunkin' or that whatever, they actually see the truck with the business name in the Google review. It's free advertising. All they have to do is take a picture of the front of the building with their truck in the corner, and it's like, hey, this was a great place. We had a great lunch here. That's the easiest thing you can do, and it's free. Just think about all the traffic that those businesses are driving. So that's one quick way. I love that tactic. It's a local guerrilla style tactic, but that's a quick one. That's a quick win.
Well, and not only that, like you're just showing your support for the community locally, and the fact that you're in there, you're part of it. That just helps with your brand, right? It just building that, showing that you help other businesses while you're in there. So no, I love it. That's great. I never even, before we talk now, I've never even heard of that. So I learned something new today, which is the goal, right?
Yeah.
So in business owners are all about, if you're not about personal development, you've got to be, right, to own a business, because and I know at one point, like, it is draining on you if you're not working on yourself. So it tells a lot. So let's talk about a book for a moment. I know what you're going to say probably, but I'm going to ask you the question anyway. So if you could recommend one book for contractors that they could read, probably change their business over the next 6 to 12 months, what would that book be?
It would most definitely be Profits First for Contractors. I forget who wrote it. Do you remember, Jordan, who the author of that book is?
It was, I think I have it literally sitting here at my desk. That's why I was asking.
No. I mean, that is the book, because not only does it go through basic marketing principles, it goes through, that one right there on the
Sean
screen.
Van Dyke.
Yeah. So what that book really highlights is all the pricing tiers, all of the management costs, all of the way to make sure that you're generating the most amount of revenue. It even covers some tax stuff. If you're a contractor, you got to read that book. If you want to save money and make more money, you got to read that book. It's just hands down the one to read.
And I think you sent it to me, and when I was doing 75 hard, I was like, all right, so I finished my 75 hard book, and I grabbed it second, and it just like opened my eyes to like just business in general, although it was pertaining to contractors, right? But just how you manage your money in general, it's absolutely amazing. And the process is so simple, and they have resources online. Literally, you can just follow it without consulting and change your business 6 months. So no, I love.
It's basically a business consultant on paper. Like all the major things that you need to know about how to run a business and run the finances of a business, that go way beyond the basics, are in that book. So
yeah, no, I agree, man. So let's jump into, we're gonna jump over into, so we got personal development. Let's go into content, because that's content SEO. Let's go into that, because people are missing, I think one of the most important foundations is the content or SEO strategies for business. And they miss it all the time, because it's hard work, but it works. It's what the foundation of business works. So what are contractors missing, in their SEO and content strategies that's really costing them conversions, like during their sales process?
Okay, so first of all, for SEO, search engine optimization, you just got to show up. You got to show up when someone Googles you. You got to know how to appear. So that's some technical stuff. That's knowing how to have a website rank. We won't get into that. As far as content goes, you got to really answer the questions that homeowners are asking. So, for example, when a roof, for example, is leaking, the first thing that's going through that client's head is, man, I'm gonna have to replace this whole roof, or man, I hope that this repair doesn't cost me $5,000 to $10,000. Like, and they don't understand that they might be able to patch that roof for a small amount of money until it's ready to be replaced years later. but it's simply like answering the frequently asked questions in your industry directly on your website. Because when they're on the website in either the form of a frequently asked questions section or in a blog that you answer periodically, that's where you really can answer those questions those homeowners are asking, and you also position yourself as an expert in the field. And you can really get granular with this. You could get, if you're in an area that has like a lot of overgrowth, maybe you're in like the woods, like up in the mountains. One question for a roofer might be like, hey, like, is algae growing on my roof a bad thing? Is it harmful to the shingles? It absolutely is. But unless you see it, like, unless someone like they go out to their shed one day and they look at it from behind, they haven't been there in about a year, and they look back like, oh man, there's a lot of algae growing on my roof. Like, I wonder if that's a bad thing. Like, they're going to go to Google and they're going to look it up, and you can regionally make that answer show up because of where that customer is looking on your website if you have that information there. So content wise, it's just answering the gap questions. It's answering the questions that your homeowners are already asking and making sure that content is either on your site or on a YouTube channel or somewhere that they can go and find the information directly from you. That's definitely what the biggest gap is you got to remember, there's a knowledge curve. People do not know what you know. Homeowners, even though they own a home, they don't know a home like a general contractor does. Most people don't. So when something breaks, they've got no idea how to fix it. Now, I remember this one comedy guy. He was like, he gets out of his car's steaming on the highway, gets out of his car. He says, he lifts up the hood and he goes, "This is where my knowledge of how to fix the car stops. I lifted the hood up." So, I mean, it's like, you just got to remember that they don't know what you know, and they're going to be asking questions. And the more that they feel informed, the more empowered they feel to make a decision, because a confused buyer won't buy. So you got to really just inform those homeowners about like why they may want to not replace a whole HVAC unit, but just do a quick repair, or why they have to do this repair because they'll damage another area of that unit if they don't repair it. They have to know this stuff. And if you're just giving them an answer as part of an estimate, or you're not allowing that content to be on your website or your channels for them to find, you're just leaving a lot of money on the table. So,
yep. And video content being the king part. Like, if you have, you got the video content up and you're the person that's talking about these problems, and they finally reach out to you, guess what? You're like a celebrity at that point. You're the 5 mile celebrity. So that's why we say it's key. Well, look, so we finished the job. We've talked about like how to get people through the door, how to fix, we're talking a little about sales conversion, stuff like that. But the big thing is what happens when you're finished with the job. And that's what I think a lot of contractors are missing as well. So what would be the best approach to get reviews from clients that's really going to help boost their brand?
I'll say two things. One, doing it while you're still at the house or on the job. Like, even my locksmiths will do it before they leave the scene. If someone gets locked out of the car, they go to unlock someone from their car. They'll be like, hey, like, reviews really mean a lot to us. They help us get higher on Google. Like, if you had a good experience, would you mind leaving us a quick review real fast? And they go, sure. All right, cool. I'm going to send you this link real fast. Like, let me know when you get it. It goes right to their phone. They go, all right, cool. Then now just quickly leave a review. I really appreciate it. Sometimes you can even incentivize the reviews by taking $10-20 off. But you got to get the reviews, because that's what drives businesses, is reviews. Like, third-party advocacy is what customers want to see. They don't trust your opinion so much as they trust other people's opinions who have used you. So the first thing is to do it while you're still on the job. The second thing to do is add an automation sequence so that every customer that goes through, you can now automatically send them reviews for them to review requests for them to leave reviews. A lot of softwares do this. HouseCall Pro has it built directly into their software. So, and a lot of customers will say, well, I don't want every customer I ever do to leave a review. Well, at the end of that job, you can check it off. You can remove it. At least in HouseCall Pro, you can. So it's one of those things where you got to have the automation, but you also should just be asking for it when you're at the home before you leave.
Yeah, no, I agree.
On video, if you can get it on video, a homeowner saying, oh my God, these guys are great. They were fantastic. They did this. I didn't have to worry about that. 30 seconds on video. Amazing. It does wonders for your business.
Oh yeah. Cause people feel the story, and they feel what that customer went through, and they go, oh, this person felt great. And now, like, hey, I'm having the same problem. I know you guys can take care of us, and I love it, man. Well, dude, like, let's wrap up one last question, because the future's changing, and I know Kyber is on top of that, because you're a big nerd like I am, and research is always going on. So where do you believe the future of marketing for contractors is going? Like, what do you think they should jump on now so they're not left behind?
Honestly, well, we just bought equity into a software company that runs on what's called GPT-3 algorithms. It's artificial neural networks, like brains for computers, that write language stuff for you. So what this means for any industry, regardless of contractors, is it will write blogs for you. And we just talked about how content is so important to answer these questions. Content's also important for SEO. It's great for Google to see that your brand is expanding. They should be hopping on to automated systems that allow them to write content. So I would say that the future is moving towards this GPT stuff. Now, does a contractor need to know how to do it? No, but they need to know what it is, and they need to know if their content writing team or their copywriters or their marketing people or whoever's writing their blogs are using stuff like this to expedite the process and to reduce costs and to allow more content to be put onto the site all at once. The company that we just purchased and got into, there's a WordPress plugin that will be out in probably a month and a half called Tetro. And Tetro writes blogs and posts them for you directly onto your site, and it automatically posts. And the blogs are pulled from these frequently asked questions about the industry. So we trained that brain to understand roofing, HVAC, plumbing. So it knows probably more about the trade than the contractors do as far as the technical aspects of it. It read technical manuscripts on this stuff. So I think that is the future of where it's going. It's way advanced. It sounds really technical to someone listening to this, but honestly, it's going to give your competitors who are using it a very unfair advantage if you're not also using it, because they're going to appear in more searches on Google. They're going to swallow up more of the leads on Google. And we've seen Google ad prices skyrocketing, Facebook ad prices skyrocketing. It's all kind of circling back to the tried and true original way to market, which was search engine optimization and being able to be found when someone's looking for you. It used to be Yellow Pages way back in the day, and it went to Google. And honestly, Google never really went away. And in the trades, Google is king. So you need to show up there. Content is the way you show up. Google wants to see a brand. They want to see content from a brand. So that's kind of the unfair advantage, is to start using GPT content. The big writer out there that's more vanilla, that's more like, it's not as trained as the ones that we're using. Our company, it's Jarvis. Conversion.ai is a software that they can have someone go in and write stuff for them. But yeah, the WordPress plugin that we're going to release in a month is specifically trained in contracting. So it's something that will be available on Kyber's site and on inside of our circles in preferred contractors group. Once it's released, if anyone's in that group on Facebook, they'll be able to get access to it in beta for cheaper than it is. It's going to retail for $197, and then it'll eventually be but our beta testers will have it for $97. So nice. But that is the unfair advantage. And I just went to an event in Vegas where that's all they talked about was AI and GPT-3 stuff. Like that is where the market's heading, is how do we put more content out fast that also is quality, and that's the way to do it. And eventually something else will come along that'll give you an unfair advantage. But right now, for the next 2 to 3 years, that's kind of it. Like, that is the unfair advantage in the market.
Yeah. And like you said before, just knowing about it, not necessarily knowing and getting in the nitty gritty, because I wouldn't, like I said, I'm the content guy. I just create it and shoot it out in video and teach. But like to understand how it works, you got to make sure that whoever you have doing your marketing, if you're doing it in-house, out of house, whatever, that they understand the technology, and they're on top of that kind of stuff. Because guess what, your marketing companies will get left in the dust as well, and you definitely don't want that, because like I said, if you got no real estate on Google, you're not going to be found. So, well, look, man, talk about, like I said, I need to be Bradley with some bombs. I got to figure that out. I need some sound effects, and I got to figure out all the gold nuggets dropped today. So look, I appreciate your time, man. If if somebody needed to reach out and work out with Kyber Digital and want to work with you, so how do we get in touch with you in your company if that's something we want to do?
Well, first and foremost, they can always go through you to find me. If they find the preferred contractors group, they can always reach out to Jordan and therefore get in front of the right people that way. But if they want to book some time with us directly, I don't really take sales calls anymore, but I will most certainly hop on and discuss strategy with contractors, especially the B2B guys, the commercial guys. Like that's a whole nother ball game. And there's not many people that know how to do it the right way. So if they need strategy, like we have things in place to allow them to kind of get a strategy of how to actually approach the market. If they want to reach out, you can just go to kyberdigital.com and you'll see contact forms all over the pages. And that's probably the easiest way to do it is kyberdigital.com. Or you can reach directly out to Jordan, who is very, very present in the Facebook group and always pushing out really great content about how to market yourself, build your business the right way, the fast way, the automated way. So yeah, those are basically the two ways I would do it.
Awesome, man. Well, look, we're excited to have you on. I appreciate your time. I know you're busy because, we work together. So I know how that goes, man. But look, this is Jordan again, Preferred Contractors Podcast. If you love the podcast, all we ask you to do is share it with your friends, share it with your contractor friends. Hopefully you took some type of value from it. If you haven't hopped in our Facebook group, preferred.contractors, search it up, hop in, I'll get you in there. And you can see all the step-by-step guides to help grow your contracting business. So thank you again for joining the Preferred Contractors Podcast. I'm Jordan Harrison. This was Jay Miller signing off.